Hi, this is Ariel. Bonjour. Welcome to my channel where we make fun costumes and weird stuff. This is the final video on my Moiraine costume. Moiraine is a character played by Rosamund Pike on the Wheel of Time TV series adapted by the books of Robert Jordan. If you haven't seen my videos about this, I already made the shoulder piece and the corset in leather. I will link that somewhere. And now we need to make all the fabric parts, which is most of the costume. With the help of Bernadette Banner, I designed a version of the traveling costume.
With this.
Oh, I love it!
A bit shrunken, and then with the coat on the top.
And I need to make it in 7 days, because I'm going next door to England to visit some friends. And since I will be there in London, I could go and see her and show her my costume. No time to waste, let's get some fabric.
It's really hard to find what I want. I don't really have a lot of choice in blue. I don't have that much time, so I have to find something here, but... I don't know about this one, but look, I mean, it could work. No. On va trouver, attends. In the natural fabrics, there is a lot of choice of blue, but it's denim. This is 100% cotton. It's not that expensive. I don't know, it could work really well. It's like a working outfit. Pardon. Should I do the denim? I don't know. It's really tempting, but it could be so bad. I think I'm gonna try, because I couldn't really find anything else. Wish me luck. So this is the design. I need to make a coat, shirt and pants. Let's start with the pants. They won't be very complicated. I want them to be folding pants that look a bit like the ones worn by Lan in this scene. I will make them shorter to match my drawing, and also I want them to be wider to have the effect of a splitted skirt. The shape will look something like this. I won't make a pattern or a mock-up. So I marked the measurements of my crotch and the rough length of the pants. As you can see, the back is sitting higher than the front because of the booty. This design doesn't have any side seam, so it's only 2 pieces for the whole pants, plus the waistband. I'm assembling the crotch seam, which is basically the only seam of the pants. And also I'm adding darts at the waist, so the pants will flare out a little bit more. The waistband is just a curved piece that is following the shape of the waist. Quick fit check. Nothing much to adjust, so let's finish it. The waistband is sewn in place with an extra stitch line so it doesn't show on the outside. I remove a bit of material, then I fold it, press it and pin it in place. The front edge is pinned in the same way. Then I sew all of this by hand, because I don't want any visible machine stitch line. I try to catch only a few threads from the inside of the fabric, and you can barely see it from the outside. The back seam is folded twice and done in the same way. And again, same thing for the hem. The ends of the waistband are folded and finished. And I added 2 snaps to close the pants. It is really one of the simplest garments. I'm starting with the coat. I drape it on my mannequin using the ugliest bedsheet ever, so I don't mind using that as a mock-up fabric. The shape is kind of simple. I have a front and back, and also a big sleeve that is in 2 pieces. It's not really fitted to the body, so it probably won't need too many mock-ups. The pattern of this fabric was surprisingly helpful, as the lines can be used as guides. When I was happy with the shape of my mock-up, I started cutting my fabric. I'm making this as wide as I can while still having some fabric left for the facings. The last little adjustments, I trace them directly with chalk on my fabric. You can see the adjustments I marked with chalk where I needed to remove some fabric. And also I wanted to have the top of the sleeve to have this interesting detail that you can find on Moiraine's dress in the TV series. I am serging all the edges to make sure that the fabric doesn't fray. With the Bolero on, I marked where I want the little decorative seam detail. I unpicked the coat again, so I could make that little detail when it's flat. In the book, it says that her dress is slashed with cream, so I'm using this beige cotton fabric as a lining. But I don't have quite as much of this as I have on denim. So I'm using all the denim that I have left to make some big facing, so it will reduce the amount of lining. And then I could cut the shapes that I need in the lining. Not to forget little pockets, and all the pieces of my coat are ready. And now, let's make it interesting. At first I wanted to stitch some silver lines everywhere, so it will look like the One Power. But on the denim, I don't know, it looks a bit cheap. Like something I probably have worn as a kid. Then I thought of drawing them with bleach, which worked, but it's cheap again. New plan. When I was looking at the behind-the-scenes video in the costume department, you can see... there! What is that? What is that? That is some indigo dyeing techniques, tie-dye and shibori. You can also see that in this early character design drawing, and you can definitely see some indigo dye on the dress in the White Tower, which is a good excuse to try a new technique. I have never dyed fabric before, but after doing 1 hour of research on the internet, I got some indigo dye. The technique I'm using is called shibori, if I say it right. It is a Japanese dyeing technique where you fold the fabric in intricate ways and dye it with indigo. There are plenty of different ways to fold the fabric, but I will be doing tesuji shibori, where I'm wrapping all my fabric around a pole. I'm trying to follow the direction of my pieces. After wrapping, I add a string all around the pole, and I push the fabric so it will create those little pleats, hoping for the best. My lining fabric is a lot thinner, so it's way easier to wrap. I'm pouring some hot water into a bucket, and I add the indigo powder. Then I just dip all the poles in this. Of course, my bucket is not deep enough. I don't have any more dye to fill it, so I'm just using a cup to pour the dye all over the fabric. And when the dye has cooled down, I'm just reheating it in an old pot. Do not cook in this, okay? The lining fabric was much more fun to do because you can clearly see the difference. When the pieces are a bit dry, I can free my fabric and rinse it in clear water. This technique is quite fun, but also a bit stressful because you don't really know the result until you have unwrapped all the fabric. The tie-dye result isn't at all what I expected. This is my test. I thought I was going for lines, maybe a bit squiggly, but it ended up a lot more busy. It looked like scales, and I think it will go really well with the corset who has the snakes. Also, maybe we can say it's dragon scales, because she's searching for the dragon reborn. That could be like a metaphor. Also, I don't know what's going on here, but it looks very cool.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
The result was more subtle on the denim pieces, of course, because it's already dyed in the deep color, but I like it. It's more elegant this way.
Now I can put the lining in place, which was cut a bit bigger to adjust for some maybe shrinking in the wash. And also the lining layer should be a little bigger than the outer piece. That way it doesn't pull on the outside fabric to not make any wrinkles. And we can assemble everything.
Okay, so this is the lining of a sleeve, and I'm kind of struggling to get the corners right. Once again, I didn't buy enough fabric.
Clipping the corners so they will look sharp on the outside. And I can turn the sleeve inside out.
It makes a little detail and it looks nice.
Some ironing to make my edges neat. I usually leave a millimeter on the inside so there's nothing visible on the outside. Do you know what I mean? I assemble the seam of the sleeve, making sure that the little detail I added matches. And I iron it flat on my little homemade sewing hammer. Check out those matching seams.
Wow.
I place the pockets where it is comfy for my hand, and I match these measurements to all 4 of them. Then the front and back can be assembled together. With the facing in place, I can add the lining pieces and cut them to the right size. Again, I try to have the lining a bit bigger than the fashion fabric, so the inside layer is not pulling on the outside layer. Then those 2 layers can be attached together all around. This is called bag lining. This was too much to handle for the 60-year-old belt of my sewing machine. I cut some notches in the edge where the seams are curved, and then I can turn the whole thing inside out, like a bag. I thought that the coat was finished, but I'm not super happy. Look.
I need to add some kind of stitching to keep the edge from going like this. Can you see? Woo.
And also the bottom part doesn't fold very nicely. Look, you see the bagness? So the outside wants to go like this, and it doesn't make like the nice pleats like this that I want. So I need to add a row of stitching all here, because I want the lining to stay baggy on the inside. Because if the lining is too straight, it will pull on the other side. And that's how you end up with things that look like that on the outside. It's not very clear, is it? I did that with tiny hand stitches that are barely visible from the outside. And now it's time to go to England!
This is no duck, this is goose. In French, this is oie.
Wow.
Oie.
Suddenly, I got to nerd about costume with Bernadette, which was super nice, but it made me forget to film some cool footage. Yeah, I'm stupid. But at least we took some selfies in my unfinished costume with my red face because I got a sunburn in England where it was raining and snowing. Ugh. So go check out her video for some proper footage about our Moiraine costumes. I somehow feel more Cesario than my favorite time traveler. I hate myself. Okay, let's finish this costume. So let's make a simple shirt to finish this outfit. I am using the last denim fabric for this. It is a very, very light fabric. I didn't know there was denim in this weight. I didn't make a pattern for this. I just took a shirt that I had in a non-stretchy fabric and I copied the shape. All the seams are French seams, which are in French called English seam. And then all the hems of the shirt were sewn by hand, so I don't have any visible machine stitches.